Yeah, yeah. What they saying? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine.
Welcome to the H.G.R.G podcast, episode 42. What's going on, DT? Just Jerry. How we doing, guys?
What's going on?
Fresh.
I guess 42. I'm gonna have to ask. Lance, you still with us?
I'm still here today. I don't know about tomorrow, but I'm here today. DT, I know you're on vacation. How was vacation, man?
Phenomenal. Can't complain. All is well. I tell you what, when you go to Disney, wear your most comfortable shoes and you're ready to rent the stroller.
My man didn't even win a championship with the Disney World, but
won a championship.
But today, I want to speak about you as an investor. Should you buy or rent your own home? All right. I know. I came across this gentleman, Grant Cardone. I know you guys are familiar with, especially in the real estate world, and he made it seem like the last thing you ever want to do is to buy your own home.
This would blow people's minds, like that you are a wealthy guy and you rent where you live.
I rent where I live.
Wow.
I would never have equity in something that doesn't produce cash. Your house doesn't pay you. That makes it a bad investment. My jet makes me more money than a house will.
Right.
Because it can get me places. Nobody goes to your house to do a deal. You guys have more equity in your house than you do in your brand, your business, your expansion.
Right.
And who's really making the money on that? The bank. They made 6% when you bought it. The seller paid for that. That was passed on to you. 6% when you sell it. That's 12%. 2.3% every year to the state. So if you own the house 20 years, that's 44%. The bank made 5 or 6% every year. So 20 years times 5%, that's 100%. So you'd have to make like 160% to break even for 20 years.
So you're getting when you buy a house.
And the worst thing is you were stuck there the whole time when you didn't want to be.
He said you rather rent, almost like as if you're a dummy as an investor to buy your own property. You know, and I can't.
And what's the reason for that though? Did he say anything about the reason?
I don't care what the reason is. I like what he's talking about.
I know you don't. But I mean, I guess he thinks it's a bad investment. I mean, really, but to me, it doesn't make any sense to me. But you know, I'll wait to speak on that. But DT, do you think as an investor, should you rent your own home? Should you buy your own home? Is there ever a time to maybe where both can apply? What's that look like to you?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a time where both can apply. I don't see it as a terrible idea when you're maybe doing both or renting or owning. I don't see it bad either way. Personally, I own my home. But do I ever see myself in a situation where I would rent? Absolutely. Especially when you're at a place where your rental properties are paying, your life's, whatever you have, your bills, and you got extra stuff to go on, and you want to live in a different location part of the year. You want to be like a snowbird, or you want to be in and out here and there. Of course, for example, my ambition is to do that very soon, to rent a property in a different place that I want to be, Florida. Just rent first so that I can know the area. That way, when I frequent it, make sure that that's where I want to buy. And then eventually, once I'm familiar with the place and know where I want to stay, then I'll buy there. And then I'll continue to rent and,
but that's not what he's saying. You're totally off. So you're going to eventually buy. What Greg is saying, Grant is saying, never buy where you reside at. Never buy. It's always renting.
Hey, man, listen, the guy's a multimillionaire. I can believe whatever he says. I don't care what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, just because you made millions doesn't mean you're smart. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's a dummy, but you know what? I feel like this comment might have been dumb.
So his conversation is, it's an asset. Everything he does is an asset, and owning a property,
you're spending money, so it's considered a liability for him. It's not an asset
because you can't make money off it. Is that what he's saying?
That is correct.
But
that
that's
is what
false.
he's saying. But and explain why. Explain why.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, your mortgage is going down, right? You're building equity. You could always pull equity out of that property and buy more properties with it, right? So every time, my thing is, look at it this way: if you're paying rent anyways, why not pay it to yourself where you're paying down a mortgage and eventually you could benefit off of it? Why would you pay somebody else? What are we talking about? So, why would I pay DT? Why would I pay you rent, right? When I can pay basically myself rent, right? Pay down my mortgage. And if I ever want to use the equity that I've built, I can do that. If I ever want to sell it, right, I can take the equity that is there and apply that to my next home. Why would I give it to you so that way you reap the benefits?
Because
tell me how this makes sense at all.
Because I need good tenants like you.
No, it's not happening. It's not happening. I can never be your tenant, especially if we're talking about my home.
Oh, so my houses aren't good enough?
We're talking about, no, you got great houses. Unbelievable. But
unbelievable property.
This is my home. This is where I reside at. This is, my dream home, whatever that looks like. I got my family here. This is where I wake up every day and I go to sleep every day. I'm not paying you the rent. But what you're saying is right. You're in transition. Maybe you have a vacation spot that you rent out and eventually you'll buy there. He's not even saying that.
I did that. I did exactly what you're saying. I rented just to see if I like the area or not. Mm-hmm. So I understand fully what you said, but my goal was to buy a house.
And then there's other times too. Like I'm being facetious on what I'm saying, but there's other times too where, for example, my father-in-law, he's retired. He doesn't play in real estate, but he plays in stocks. And he lives in Florida, and we went to go visit him for a week before we went to Disney. And I had a brief conversation with him about, maybe moving some of those funds into real estate as opposed to what he's doing in stocks, because he was telling me he lost a lot of money. And, he's at that point in life where he's retired and he just don't want to deal with nothing. He just wants to wake up, drink espresso, take a shower, go for a 5-mile walk, 7-mile walk, come back, take a nap, and then do it again at night. And then that's that. He just lives a very simple, kind of ABC life. And he's super happy, he's good with that. So for that, when you're at that point in life where you're settled down, you're maybe retirement level, or you're just not even retired. You just may still be working, but you're just at a place where you just want, no noise. You just want silence. You don't want to deal with the maintenance of a property. You don't want to deal with lawn care. You don't want to deal with fixing any. You just want to maintain. You just want to literally wake up and go to sleep. And if there's a problem, you make a phone call. You don't have to pay extra. They take care of it. I understand that, if you want to rent a property because you have that mentality. Now, hopefully you are invested in real estate in which you don't lose money like stock markets. And, you're making enough income that can substantiate you renting. Now, with that being said, the tax write-offs with the Cardone experience, I don't relate to somebody who buys a jet to not pay taxes. That's not my life right now. Maybe it will be in the future, but right now that's not what it is. So tax write-offs, owning property gives you a bunch of tax write-offs. Having mortgages gives you a bunch of tax write-offs. Taking out home equity loans gives you tax-free money. Refinancing properties is tax-free money. You can't refinance a property if you don't own it. All these things only come with ownership. So I can't relate to the Cardone experience when it comes to all of that. Maybe he's talking from a different level, different perspective in which I don't understand. And I'm not really on that level. I don't know if he speaks to people in that way because there's a hidden message there. Because a lot of what he does is partnerships in real estate. Invest in this 10X thing. You do this, you do that, and we put all that money together and we buy this big building. So
when he says we put all the money together, is you put all your money in and he'll broker the deal and get most of the money for brokering that deal.
Nevertheless, it's a we thing. When he says that, I feel like those people, that persons don't have complete ownership of nothing. So by him saying that, it kind of like, I don't know,
validates his deals.
Kind of walks you down that same avenue. So it kind of seems like he's consistently preaching the same thing over and over and over. But I feel like there's maybe a little bit of hidden message there. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong because that's, for him to say. But nevertheless, there is no, again, refinancing, leveraging your properties. There's no home equity loans. There is no equities. There's none of that if you don't own. If you rent, you're pissing money away. If I pay Lance $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month to rent his property, that's $24,000 a year or $48,000 a year that I gave to Lance to help Lance pay down the mortgage on the property that he's rented to me. What did that do for me? Zero. There's no write-offs on that. I just spent $24,000 or $48,000 a year for that property that I rented from Lance or Jerry.
And all your concern is maintenance. Because that was one of your points.
So if I
spend $48,000 not to fix
he's
something,
saying right, but he's saying if you're older or something like that. Yeah. But my thing is that what you just did for me is everything you stated. I could refi, I could do the HELOC, I could do all that now off of your back.
Yeah. So if I rent from you, right? If let's say Jerry's my teacher, and Jerry preaches to me, rent. Okay,
H.G.R.G does not do that. I'm letting you know right now. H.G.R.G does not do that.
So if Jerry would have said that to me and I followed his ideology, and then the person I rented from was Lance, right? So Lance is able to take advantage of and capitalize off of all of what I just talked about that I can't because I'm a renter, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure. I would just say that if that's the case, then why you don't rent the jet?
Wow. I would never have equity in something that doesn't produce cash. Your house doesn't pay you. Right. That makes it a bad investment. My jet makes me more money than a house will.
Right.
Because it can get me places. Nobody goes to your house to do a deal.
Yeah. So you own a jet but won't own your own property.
If that's the case, why don't you do because there's another thing out here in real estate where you can get a building or a part of a building, apartments in a building. You can rent out, let's say, a floor. 6 apartments on the floor of a building. You could sign leases for those 6 apartments. You sign leases at $2,500, and then you could rent those apartments as Airbnbs, VRBOs, short-term stays, and you could rent them at $25, $35, $4,500 a week or whatever that looks like, and you could make money. So you're subletting those apartments, right? So you're renting apartments, and then you're renting out the apartments that you're renting. You don't never own them. Right. Why wouldn't you preach that?
This is the conversation we should be talking about.
Yeah, he don't want to preach that though, because that's not his lane. His lane is to get as many people as he can to put in money, and then he goes find the deal.
I'm not knocking him because it's
and I'm not knocking him either. Your hustle's your hustle.
You can't knock him until people are now exposing him. So yeah, you can't knock him. He got a lot of people to buy into his program, his movement, his preach. And then now people are exposing. They're not getting what they're supposed to be getting.
Right. Yeah. When you're on, I think this is a while back though. I think when the pandemic first started, he's online. Like be a man. Don't be a bitch. I'm saying, don't ask for your money back or something. Whatever he was saying. And and I use that loosely. I'm not quoting him, but to say stuff like that to your investors that believe in you and trust in you, says a lot about him. And this is not bash Grant Cardone, but when you're telling people not to buy a property when the benefits is so much more than it is just to rent a property, I make it make sense is what I'm asking.
Or give me both sides. Like explain to me.
Yeah, correct.
Don't just tell me rent. And then just vaguely say, it's a liability. It's a liability. I'm looking for assets. Okay, well, tell me more. Like Lance says, tell me more.
Right.
How is owning a property only a liability and not an asset? And how much of a liability is it? How much of an asset could it be? Not it's an asset because, you're buying whatever you're buying, because he's going to, you can not he, but you could always make an analogy that, you bought this asset and, you're underwater and you overpaid and this and that. That's a different scenario. We're talking about, something you bought right. If it's an owner occupant, if it's an investment property, regardless of the point, you got in contact with H.G.R.G, or a strong team like H.G.R.G. Nevertheless, there is no one like us, one and only HGRG.club.
You heard?
And they put you in place, and you purchase your first property, second, third, whatever, and you bought a good buy, right? It's how is that a bad purchase? How is that a liability as opposed to an asset? I mean, show me that. Explain that to me. I don't see any situation where you can purchase and own a property that either you live in or you rent that is 100% a liability. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand, because you could use everything on the examples you use, and then I could also sell my property to make money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I can argue the case that actually I don't think I can argue the case that a property you own is more of an asset than it is a liability.
Absolutely. And speaking about what you're saying with selling, right? So that gives you an exit plan. I would love to know what the exit plan is on one of Grant Cardone's deals where I buy in on. I would love to know what that looks like. How much money am I making off of that to back out? I can't tell. I'm pretty sure, and I haven't seen the contract, but if I'm taking an educated guess here, I can't tell Grant Cardone to sell because I want to make more money, and because the market is super hot right now where we got that property at, and I want you to sell. I'm
sure in the contracts there's a buyout. There's some type of buyout policy,
right?
And I promise you that it's not going to be favorable to you.
Absolutely not.
I promise you, because it's business, right? It's the same model, same philosophy in anything you do, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it is, right? I would just say, no matter who it is, no matter the name, whatever, just make sure you know the ins and outs. Tell me all the good, but yet I want to hear the bad too. Don't just tell me all the good. Don't just show me the jets and the fine life that you live because you're at the place where you're at. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what your background is. I don't know how you got your funds and your financing, and I don't know. May God bless you in all that you do, and I hope you get 20 times more than that. But what you do don't make me shit.
That's right.
So when you show me these things, you say these things to me, don't just show me the good, show me the bad too, or tell me the bad, or give me a hint. Don't just show me all peachy cream, daylight, laughy. Show me some of the bad so that I know what to expect, so I can prepare myself. And that's what we do at H.G.R.G. No matter where we're at, we're talking. We could be talking about the best deal of our lives, but we also talk about the worst part of the best deal of our lives.
That's correct.
We can talk about the worst deals, but we also.
Breathe, DT. You look like me out here, man.
Hey man, I'm saying I'm out here.
Breathe. And if I can remember, because I'm trying to dig right now. If I can remember, I believe that Grant Cardone actually owned a property at first and then sold it, flipped it, made more money, and bought more property. I think he used it for investment properties after that, but owned a personal property. So I mean, for him to go left field and preach like as if it's not an asset, he almost makes you feel crazy.
Yeah.
For not renting.
Yeah.
I just think he sells dreams, man. Everything, even emotion, the motivation speaking is just bullshit to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's no quick way of getting money.
Yeah.
If you're trying to do this for a long haul, how he preaches is easy. You can do this. Just do this. Just do it this way.
Just believe in me.
Yeah, just believe in me. It's straight bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm not as bad as Lance and talking smack about Grant. It's just that every time he speaks, it makes it seem like, oh, you could give me your money today, and then you'll be a millionaire tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's just straight bullshit.
Right. And we're not saying that that's what he's saying, but that's how he makes it feel.
Your house doesn't pay you. That makes it a bad investment. My jet makes me more money than a house will.
Right.
Because it can get me places. Nobody goes to your house to do a deal. You guys have more equity in your house than you do in your brand, your business, your expansion.
Right.
And who's really making the money on that? The bank. They made 6% when you bought it. The seller paid for that. That was passed on to you. 6% when you sell it. That's 12%. 2.3% every year to the state. So if you own the house 20 years, that's 44%. The bank made 5 or 6% every year. So 20 years times 5%, that's 100%. So you'd have to make like 160% to break even for 20 years.
So you're getting when you buy a house.
And the worst thing is you were stuck there the whole time when you didn't want to be.
Even to like to bring to fruition what I just said. You know, don't just show me the good, show me the bad too. You know, when it's the best deal of your life, I want to know what was the worst part of the best deal of your life. When it's the worst deal of your life, I want to know what was the best part of that as well. So full circle, you know, even in this whole thing, I know it sounds like a bash him, but what I will tell you is that I respect his hustle. Every time I open my phone and I look on social media, he's there.
Yeah.
You know, when and he's not just there, but he's there and everything looks professional. He's lit. He's 100% lit. You know, when you anything, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, social media, he's there. He's everywhere, right? And it's all looks believable. All looks believable. But with that being said, we have actual students that bought into what I'm seeing.
Correct.
Right? They saw him on the social media and they were like, wow, this guy has to be. And they ended up investing. And then, you know, they come back and they're like, you know, that was probably
teach me the right way, guys. Teach me the right way.
Right.
I learned a lot of gibberish, but none of that really related to where I'm at and what I'm doing. And honestly, he talked past me. Like, I really didn't.
That's a fact.
I couldn't take nothing home because he talking about buildings and complexes and skyscrapers. I'm dealing with a 9-to-5. I got like 10,000. You know, I'm trying to invest 10,000. He told me if I give him 2,500 for his course, you know, he gonna make me a millionaire. So I took 2,500 out of my 10,000, and I came. I don't even know what to do.
Facts.
Yeah. It's
my other question is rents and mortgage. Rents right now is triple what a mortgage is right now. Anyway,
that's a great point. A great point.
So now that I don't buy a house, I just rent. I'm spending more money just renting.
Double what you would pay.
It's just it's like leasing a car and owning a car. You know, you do a lease for a year, a lease on a property for a year, right? Whatever your rent amount is, 1,000, 2,000. After the year's done, either you pay 12,000 or you pay 24,000. Same thing on a car. You take a lease for 2 years, 36,000 miles. Whatever your payment is, after 3 years, you turn that car in, you get zero back.
Correct. The only issue, the only thing you do, the only only pro in leasing is you want to stay relevant. The reason why you lease is because I want a new car every 2-3 years.
Right. Yeah. You don't get a new house every time your lease is up.
Correct.
All you do is pay more for the same product that you got.
That's correct, sir. That's correct.
I'll never understand it.
Which is,
you know, and I'll say this on our platform, and I know that we're not the type of platform that goes at people or throw people under the bus. But to be real with you, I've never liked Grant Cardone. I don't like his delivery. You know, it just feels commercial.
There we go.
And that's just what it is to me.
We've never known that, Lance. We've never known that.
I would have never thunk.
And everybody on this platform knows how I feel because we spoke about this in private. You know, but the reality is,
why do you take it so personal?
Because I
don't like the foolery, man. I don't like the fool. We started this podcast with stuff like this.
Because,
you know, not saying he's fugazi.
I can agree with him though. I can agree with him because it's hurting the community. What this is the reason exactly what Lance just said. We have a podcast for the foolery that's going on in our community. Our community is real estate. So there's a lot of fucking bullshit going on in our community. And this is one of them. This is one of them.
And granted, no pun intended, you know, but Grant Cardone, he dealt with, you know, the big spenders, right? But now he's able to work with people with lesser money, right? So he's able to take advantage of someone that does have 10, 20, 30,000. Before he wouldn't even touch those type of people, but now he can. So now it touches the people that we touch. You see what I'm saying? And it's just get your own property. Get yourself a whole property instead of getting yourself a piece of a little piece of something big. You see what I'm saying? Take the whole thing as something small where you're going to benefit. I guarantee you grow faster. getting yourself your investment properties, whether it's single families, multi-families, but you'll grow faster that way than dealing with something like what Grant Cardone does, where you get just a piece of it. All right, especially if you got $40,000-$50,000 in the bank, 60,000, 70.
That was advocate. This is what somebody like that would say. Hey man, what good is it owning 100% of nothing?
But I'm not telling you get nothing. I just told you single family, a multi-family, you have 60, 70,000 in the bank. I don't think that you're getting the same cut if you invest 60, 70,000 with Grant Cardone, right? The deals are too big, right? It's a $10 million deal. How far is your 70,000 going?
0.5%.
How much you getting back?
0.5%.
0.5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then but that's a fact. That's a fact. But then what DT just said, you have 70,000 in the bank and don't really know what to do with it. Give it to Grant. He makes 20. He makes
because he sounds like a sure thing, 100%.
He makes 0.5 though.
Yeah.
So
something's better than nothing.
That's what he's saying.
That's damn near the 100% of nothing.
I'm about to say you could give me that. I could skip that, please. You could have that. You could keep that by yourself.
Yeah, but
my other question is.
So let me ask you this, Jerry. All right, yeah, you that sound good. That was fly.
That was fly.
Yeah. So what if I say I got 70 grand in the bank and I give it to H.G.R.G? You telling me you could do better than 0.5? What could you do?
0.5? I'm talking about 14% on our side.
That's easy. That's easy work.
That's easy work. That's 14% easy.
That's easy
let's be safe and say 10% easy of your money back.
So what if I got 20,000? 0.5 ain't good?
10%. H.G.R.G. 10%.
0.5 is never good in any situation. So
0.5 is a bank.
Would you allow you to invest anything, funds or even your time for 0.5% return?
No, nothing.
Yo, I don't get out of my bed for 0.5.
I want to be clear, right? So we're not saying that if you invest with Grant Cardone that you get 0.5%. We're saying in a $10 million deal, you have $70,000. You know, for Lane's terms, right? To dumb it down, you ain't getting shit back, really. Your return is going to be minimal. Minimal.
But the conversation is, I'm in real estate though.
Yeah, big shit. I mean,
and I'm in real estate with a big player.
That's it. That's all I can say, kid.
I own real estate with Grant Cardone.
I'd rather be in.
That's like being famous and broke. What's it matter?
I'd rather be an investor with a small group to make money than be better big time. My other question will be a down payment, not a down payment 3.5 and security. And if your credit's wrong, if credit's bad, they want 2 months rent. So now you're saying your example of $3,000. You have to put down $9,000 to get into a rental.
Yeah, but I get my 6,000 back when I move out.
Maybe.
You get your $6,000 back, right?
Your kids messed up the walls. Your dog.
You already know what's going to happen. So I give you another example. You put $9,000 down on a rental and you've been there for 5 years. You're telling me you're getting your whole $6,000 back?
Not only that, but hold up. When you rent it, depending on the market you're in, when you rent an apartment for whatever the number is, you know, there's a fee for the agent that finds the apartment for you.
Yes, sir.
You know, sometimes that's 2 months rent. Sometimes it's a flat fee. You know, it depends on where you're at, the market, and where you're looking at. Like I remember when I was listen, a friend of mine was looking for an apartment in a certain market, and I think their monthly budget was like $5,000 a month or whatever. They were looking for something real decent, and he was telling me, he's like, "Yo, I got to pay the agent
that you never get back.
$15,000.
Say that again. How much?
15,000.
So 3 times the rent
just to find the apartment
that you never get back.
You get that back. That doesn't include your first month, second month, security. They don't, none of that. That's just the fee he had to pay the agent to find him the apartment.
Instead of using the FHA,
$15,000 gets you what? in the mortgage game?
I mean, if you're FHA, you're probably 200K, 250.
You even looking for a number tells you that's already a red flag for me.
Yeah. Anything you just, simple math, $15,000, you got 3.5% for your down payment, plus you got to pay closing costs. So, depending on the property, your closing costs can be, XYZ plus whatever your down payment is, which is 3.5. $3,500 is 3.5% of 100,000.
Yes, sir.
So $7,000 is 3.5 of 200,000. Right. And then
Take it down for them all the way down.
Make it make sense when you are spending that money.
So if I go to 300,000, if I go to 300,000,
you don't own shit.
You go to 300,000. I'm at $10,500, which is 3.5% down. Right. I'm buying a $300,000 property. Let's go to 400,000. Right. I'm at 13. Hold up. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,000. I'm at $14,000 down. Now 400.
You just paid 15,000 for the real estate. Go ahead.
But now, to your point. So if I buy a $400,000 property, now mind you, in certain markets, 400,000 don't get you shit.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Correct.
But in a lot of markets, it does.
In a lot of markets, it does. Right. Okay. So let's go up to $1 million. Right. 35,000.
Your man had to spend that though. But he had to give him 15,000 and pay his security and pay the first month's rent. So he already paid 25,000.
The numbers I told you.
Don't own shit.
Don't own shit. So he had to pay 15,000 for the agent. He had to pay $10,000 down. First month's rent, security deposit. So he had to pay $25,000 out of pocket before he even got the key.
Bro, what are we talking about?
I'm telling you, for mind you, these numbers are a little bit loose, but $1 million property, you put down 35,000 plus closing costs. You could probably be in the 60,000 range, 70,000 range, but you own $1 million worth of real estate. My man was in a situation. He put down 25,000 and he owns nothing.
Right. And if you grant Cardone status where he's telling you to rent or that he rents, what kind of property do you think he has? He's not living in the properties that we got. Right. So he's got, I'm sure he has somebody a realtor that's finding him, a placement, and whatnot, where it's nice and comfortable, what he's looking for, his laundry list of things that he wants, in the house that he's going to rent. Right. So he's got to put down a pretty dollar too. His credit's probably right. So you don't have to put down anything extra, but for someone to find it, and the rents that he's paying, it just makes no sense. And he's throwing money. What's the benefit?
I don't understand.
I don't know the benefit.
Then times 5,000 in 12 months.
Unless he moves from state to state every year.
What the fuck are we talking about, guys?
I'm glad you said that, Jerry, because that's why, the analogy we just gave, I said my man put down 25,000. And then I also told you for $1 million property, you'd probably be around 70K. And I know that that's a huge difference, 25,000 to 70K. But I didn't finish my story. My story was that after 1 year of him living there, he paid 60,000 in rent, plus the 25,000 he put down to move in. He's at 85K. 1 year living there, owns nothing. If after that year he decides to move out, yes, he can get his $5,000 security deposit.
5,000, bro.
That's it. He paid 85,000. They will say, "Thank you, have a nice day." Maybe give him his whole 5,000 back. If he scratches a wall, messes up a faucet, his kids, do something that they're not supposed to do, 2,500, 2,000,
and if sorry to cut you off, D. Even if he leaves and gets somebody to fix the house, he still has to pay for the maintenance fix before he leaves.
Yep. Nevertheless, let's just say in a perfect world, he walks away with his full security deposit back, the 5,000. So 1 year of living in a really, really nice apartment. Let's be clear. It's a
absolutely top notch
property.
Yeah, but
it's like a 5 point something $1 million property that he's living in.
I'm cool with that. But the rent for that owner is probably 25. So he's making 20. He's making 25 on him.
Right. Nevertheless, the moral of the story is that after 1 year of living there, he paid $85,000 out of pocket. They gave him $5,000 back.
We got his own shit for 75.
We're giving you an example. You could buy your own property. You know, you can own the property and come out of pocket $70K and own the property. And after a year, if you live there and you don't want to live there no more, you could still get your $1 million back.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to sell or you don't want to live there and you want to go somewhere else, Airbnb is a new thing now. Well, not a new thing.
Or you could do the same, you know, reverse the analogy. Now you can rent it out to somebody who wants to.
That's correct, sir.
Right.
That's correct, sir.
And so on and so forth. But
now all of a sudden you got your investment. You live there. You have an investment property.
Right. The person who you once were told to be, now you've become.
Grant, please make it very clear because we're not understanding. You know what I'm saying? We're not saying you're wrong. We just don't understand.
I just need to understand a human being who says, and I'm not knocking him. I'm saying in general, who tells you rent.
You are a wealthy guy and you rent where you live.
I rent where I live.
Wow.
I would never have equity in something that doesn't produce cash. Your house doesn't pay you. That makes it a bad investment. My jet makes me more money than a house will.
Right. So you're getting when you buy a house.
And the worst thing is you were stuck there the whole time when you didn't want to be.
Buys a jet, owns the jet, pays for the upkeep of the jet, parks the jet at a hangar, pays for the everything, because that comes with ownership.
Right.
But with that same screen that he took that video of, and with that same, you know, Instagram post or whatever it is, he'll tell you rent. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Like,
I would never get it.
Own a jet, not your property that you live in with your family.
I think it should be the reverse. If I mean, I'm not jet level. I'm not there, but you know, if I had to think, I think it would be own where you stay, rent what you fly in until you could do both and own both.
Yes.
If you're at the place where you can own both, then fucking own both.
Right.
And then once you own both, you know, you use your jet as you can. And when you're not using it, if you want to rent it out, good. If you don't, park it where you will, because you got it like that. And you could.
It just feels like a hidden agenda. You know, it's like
I said.
Like you were saying earlier, you're right. Right. See, full circle. There you go, DT. Full circle. It feels like there's something behind that. You don't tell people to rent. It's just bad advice. Mm-hmm. You know, you tell people to rent maybe if they're not ready to buy for some reason, you know, but hey, listen, you need to rent, but maybe rent in a where you can save money so that way you can get everything right and maybe pay off debt or get your credit right. Something I don't understand where it's like you're an investor owning this big portfolio and the only thing you don't own is your property. Why?
I'll tell you this though.
I think rent. Go ahead, G. My bad.
So when I was renting, every time I spoke to a finance guy or a private lender and stuff or whatever it is, and whenever I spoke money and they go ask, what is your collateral? And I say I'm renting. At that moment in time, they were like, huh? You're buying property, but you rent?
What did your CPA tell you?
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So many more tax benefits.
We can make a killing off you owning.
100%.
So it's just mind-boggling when he could, my man, 2022, he is still saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And people are still going, yes, you're God. You're right.
I'll say this.
It's weird to me.
Grant Cardone, you're invited to come on the H.G.R.G podcast and we can hash this out so you can let the people know why you say rent and why we say no way in hell. So if you would like, make sure you contact us, you know, hgrg.club, and we can put it together for sure. You know, I would love it, you know, with no disrespect. And, you know, even though, you know, not too fond of you, you know, but, you know, we can go ahead and put that to the side and have a real conversation and have an open dialogue. And we can go at it like that.
I think that having that conversation with somebody, you know, who sees a different perspective, because, you know, to be clear, he's on another level from where we are. Never, you know, let's Be clear on that.
Yeah, let's be transparent. Yeah, absolutely.
We are not where he's at, and that's not what we're trying to say. But nevertheless, what we're saying, I mean, the numbers are the numbers. It is what it is. Like, you could be at this level, that level. It kind of it moves all the same way. It goes towards the same place. Now, laws change, taxes change, finances change. What your accessibility is changes, and then once you get to a certain place where you have X amount of dollars, the returns and the matter what matters to you changes. The types of investments change, and we talked about this on our podcast before. There's other episodes that we have. Please, tune in. Please, H.G.R.G.club. YouTube, Instagram, social media. We're all over. Our website, H.G.R.G.club. We have all of our videos posted there as well. But we have episodes where we talk about types of investments and people who invest for cash flow, people who invest for appraisals, people who invest just to park their money to be safe. The person who invests because I need this money to pay my life and change my life and get me financially free. The people who invest are already financially free and just want to stabilize that, and that's where kind of sort of he's at. We're not kind of sort of, that's where he's at. Right. So it's hard for me to understand that him being at where he's at, he's talking to people who are trying to get where he's at.
Correct.
Right.
And he doesn't say it's his preference.
And
he's saying you're dumb if you own. And it's not saying, you know what I'm saying? He's not saying, yo, this is my preference. I like to rent. This is the reason why. And he doesn't say that.
I wanted to defend him because I'm not fucking with Lance right now. I would say that I think that that's where the disconnect is. He talks the way he talks, and he targets who he targets. And his dialogue, his demeanor, his delivery is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
He
perfected that.
Yes. LeBron James of delivery.
Correct. I agree.
He is Michael Jordan of making it look like what it looked like. He is that. He is him. You know what I mean? And got to give it up. But I think there's a disconnect there, and I don't want to target that because we're trying to clickbaity, be that type of a person. But it is frustrating when you're on you're genuine, you're sincere, you see what you see, you do what you do, you put all this work in, and you're giving the information out, and it's like, you're listening to this guy.
Correct.
Preach.
Correct.
Preach.
Spend and invest, and you don't have to spend and invest nothing because everything we're talking right now is free. All you gotta do is watch YouTube. You're not spending $1 listening to us. Right, you do all this with you. Now, mind you, obviously, we do have something available for you so that we can teach you, walk hand in hand with you, give you the whole game and get you to a point from A to B to Z, quick, fast. Not like what he's talking about. Quick, fast for us is having a property in 30 to 60 days, and then moving forward, however you want to go. But we're not talking about becoming a millionaire overnight. We're talking about long term, generational wealth.
And we've always preached that.
We have never ever told you only the good.
Yeah, 100%.
We have always gave you the good, the bad, and the ugly. 1,000%.
100%.
So when we speak, you could take the good and then expect there are going to be some bumps and bruises. Yep. And we could. I believe we could preach only good. We can, bro.
Yeah, we could make it pretty every time. Absolutely.
But what we stand.
Yeah, we wouldn't even have this podcast then.
Correct, because it makes no sense. Because we could be glamorous, we could be 100% positive, and we could just tell you all the goods. Because in real estate, there's more than good than bad.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So I could say that 100% and continue to go, but then you're gonna give me the same conversation that you give Greg Cardone, because he's getting called out on bullshit now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing, listen, guys, at the end of the day, we always try to, from our mouths to your ears, we always try to be transparent. This is how we feel when it comes to renting versus owning. Grant Cardone really stemmed the conversation between us. So, we're going to be raw. We're going to give it to you guys. These are the conversations that we'd have behind the scenes. And this is why we do this. This is unscripted, and we turn these cameras on and we go, we go. It's plain and simple. I say it a lot because I mean it. And, once again, this is us. This is us giving you the raw. And, we hope you guys enjoy it. This is our perspective of everything, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
H.G.R.G.club, guys.
Yeah. What they say? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines.